Attention passionate Philadelphia, EAGLES FANS. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Philadelphia Eagles' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Philadelphia Eagles fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Philadelphia, EAGLES FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying close attention to the NFL offseason, you know that the landscape is shifting rapidly. Every day, there's a new rumor, a new potential blockbuster trade, or a surprising move that could reshape teams' futures. And one of the most talked about stories lately involves the Pittsburgh Steelers and one of their biggest stars, TJ Watt. That's right, the all-pro linebacker who's been a cornerstone of that Steelers defense for years. The buzz is that Watt isn't exactly happy with his current contract situation, and it's leading to some serious speculation about whether he might be on the move. Now you might be thinking, well, what does that have to do with the Eagles? But trust me, when it comes to NFL rumors, Philadelphia is always in the mix, especially when it involves a player of Watt's caliber. So what's the story? Well, during off-season workouts, Watt has been very vocal about his frustrations. While he's still performing at an elite level, his dissatisfaction with his current contract could mean we're on the brink of a potential trade. The interesting part here is that many NFL insiders, including analysts and writers like CBS Sports, Cody Benjamin, have been speculating about which teams might be interested in acquiring Watt if the Steelers decide to move him. And quite surprisingly, the Eagles keep popping up as a potential landing spot. Now you might think, wait, Philadelphia, really? But it's not just random chatter. There are logical reasons why the Eagles could be in the mix for a player like Watt, and that's what makes this story so compelling. Let's break down why the Eagles would even consider such a move. First, you have to look at their current roster construction. The Eagles, under the leadership of General Manager Howie Roseman, have been very strategic in their off-season approach. They've been shedding salary, making smart cap moves, and focusing on building a team that can contend for a Super Bowl in the next year or two. But at the same time, they've also been very clear about their priorities, namely, strengthening the trenches and ensuring they have a dominant pass rush. Now, here's where Watt comes into play. If you look at the Eagles' edge rush situation, it's quite interesting. They've lost some key players recently, like Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat, who have been instrumental on the defensive line. While they did bring back some veterans, the overall depth and experience at the edge position are not quite what they used to be. Bringing in a proven star like TJ Watt could instantly elevate that unit to another level. Imagine Watt paired with someone like Jalen Carter, a disruptive force in the middle, and a young star like Nolan Smith, who's still developing but has immense potential. The idea of Watt and Carter on the same front is tantalizing, isn't it? It's a dream scenario for any Eagles fan because it would create a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. The combination of Watt's pass-rushing prowess and Carter's disruptive interior presence could turn the Eagles' defense into one of the most feared units in the league. And let's not forget, Watt is not just a sack artist. He's a leader, a versatile defender who can do it all: set the edge, rush the quarterback, and even drop into coverage when needed. So yes, adding Watt would be a game changer, but here's the catch. This kind of move doesn't come cheap. And that's precisely why the Eagles are unlikely to pull the trigger. You see, Watt is one of the premier defenders in the NFL, with 7 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pro selections, and the 2021 Defensive Player of the Year award under his belt. He's led the league in sacks 3 times in his career, which is no small feat. But with that kind of pedigree comes a hefty price tag. Watt's contract demands would be astronomical, probably the largest ever paid to a defender in NFL history. And Philadelphia, as savvy as they are, isn't in a position to break the bank for a player like that. They've been very deliberate with their cap space, making strategic moves to keep the roster young and flexible. In fact, one of the reasons they've been trading away players, or not re-signing certain veterans, is to preserve cap room for future extensions. Players like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and others are entering their prime and will be expecting big paydays soon. The Eagles would rather allocate their resources to those homegrown talents rather than chase a superstar outside the organization, even if that superstar is a Hall of Famer like Watt. It's about building a sustainable, championship-caliber team from within. Now, let's talk a little about the other side of the coin. Watt's contract demands could be a deal-breaker. He would want a contract that makes him the highest-paid defender in NFL history, and that's a lot of money for a team that's already facing some significant cap hits in the near future. Players like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and even some of the younger guys like Reed Blankenship and Quinnen Mitchell are all approaching contract extensions. The Eagles' philosophy has always been to reward their homegrown talent, to keep their core intact, and to build through the draft. They've shown this in recent years with their aggressive draft picks and smart free agent signings that aren't necessarily splashy but are effective. So, if you're wondering whether we will see Watt in midnight green anytime soon, the answer is probably not. The Eagles have made it clear that they're not going to spend big on outside free agents or trades unless it aligns perfectly with their long-term plan. They missed out on big-name targets like Jalen Ramsey and Jaire Alexander, so why would Watt be any different? It just doesn't fit their current approach. Sure, they're always looking to improve, but they do it smartly, and they prefer internal development and strategic signings rather than splashy, expensive moves. But here's the thing, NFL fans, especially Eagles fans, love a good story about potential superstar additions. It's part of the offseason excitement, dreaming about how a team could look with a few more stars. And Watt, with his incredible talent, certainly fits that mold. Even if the Eagles don't go after him, the mere fact that he's being mentioned as a possibility shows how high their standards are and how committed they are to building a defense that can dominate for years to come. Now, let's shift gears a bit and look at the Eagles' current roster and their season prospects. Philadelphia had a remarkable 2022 season, finishing with a 14-3 record and making it all the way to the Super Bowl, where they narrowly missed out on the title in a heartbreaker against the Kansas City Chiefs. But despite that impressive run, there's always room for improvement. They need to keep that defensive edge sharp, especially in a division that's getting more competitive by the year. The Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, and Washington Commanders are all improving, and the NFC East remains one of the toughest divisions in football. Philadelphia's defense was solid last year, but there's always room to get better. Adding a player like Watt would be the kind of move that can turn a good defense into a dominant one. But again, it's about balancing the cap, keeping the core intact, and making smart decisions. The Eagles have shown that they're not afraid to make bold moves, but they also know when to hold back and develop their talent. That's what has kept them competitive year after year. And speaking of that, the development of their young players like Nolan Smith, who was a first-round pick last year, is crucial. The Eagles believe in building from within and giving their young stars the opportunity to grow into their roles. They've been very selective with their free agent signings, preferring to fill gaps with players who fit their scheme and culture. For example, the trade of C.J. Gardner-Johnson and the releases of Darius Slay and James Bradbury were strategic moves to create cap space and bring in younger talent or draft picks. It's all part of their long-term plan to stay competitive without overspending. Now, back to Watt. Even if the Eagles don't pursue him, just the idea of him being linked to the team sparks a lot of conversation among fans and analysts alike. It highlights the ongoing chess match in the NFL offseason, teams trying to find the perfect pieces to fill their needs while managing the cap and future commitments. The Eagles are always in the mix, whether it's with draft picks, free agents, or trade targets. Their focus remains on building a team that can sustain success for years, not just a quick fix. And that's what makes following the Eagles so exciting during this offseason period. Every rumor, every potential move, adds to the story of a team that's always in pursuit of excellence. They have a passionate fan base, a winning culture, and a front office that's always thinking multiple steps ahead. So, even if the Watt rumors don't materialize into a reality, they serve as a reminder of how high Philadelphia's standards are and how committed they are to competing at the highest level. In conclusion, while the idea of T.J. Watt donning the Eagles' green might be a bit of a long shot given the financial implications, it's a testament to how aggressive and ambitious the team is willing to be in pursuit of a championship. The Eagles keep their eyes on the prize, always looking for ways to improve, whether through the draft, internal development, or strategic moves in free agency and trades. And with a roster full of talented young players and seasoned veterans, the foundation is already there for another deep playoff run. But as fans, we know that the NFL is unpredictable, and that's part of what makes it so exciting. Every offseason brings new surprises, and the Eagles are no strangers to making bold moves when the time is right. So, as we keep an eye on the latest rumors, signings, and potential trades, one thing is clear: the Philadelphia Eagles are always in the conversation. Their ambition, their drive to succeed, and their smart approach to building a winning team make them a team to watch in the coming months. Whether or not Watt ends up in Philadelphia, the message remains the same. These Eagles are gearing up for another championship chase, and we, as fans, are right there with them, ready to see what the future holds. Stay tuned because the best is yet to come, and this team's story is far from over. We'll keep you updated with all the latest news, analysis, and insider info, so make sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and be part of this incredible Eagles family. We're in this together, and the journey to another Super Bowl is just beginning.